Elen Sila Lumen Omentiovo. Today I'm breaking down the Dagor Bragollach, or the Battle of Sudden Flame. There were many commanders and leaders that took part in this battle. On the side of the Free Peoples, there were Fingolfin, Fingon, Finrod, Angrod, Aignor, the seven sons of Feanor, Maithros, Maeglor, Celegorm, Caranthir, Curufin, Amrod and Amros, Bragollach, and Barahir. On the side of Angband was Morgoth, the Balrogs under their chieftain Gothmog, and Glaurung the dragon. It was the winter of 455 of the First Age. Angband was still under siege from the Noldor. Morgoth was seemingly trapped behind his fortress, or so the Noldor thought. But this was not so, and one night, when the cover of darkness was greatest, and the watch upon Angband lessened, Morgoth unleashed rivers of fire upon the plains of Ardgallen. The Noldor were caught by surprise, and many were felled by the fires and flames, and few could escape the speed of the lava. Behind the fires poured out Glaurung, and behind him the Balrogs. Behind them, hordes of orcs in numbers the Noldor had scarcely imagined. 3 battlefronts now emerged in the cloudy and smoky fields of Beleriand. One in the east, one in the west, and one in the south. In the east, the sons of Feanor met the hordes of orcs. Celegorm and Curufin took their army from Himlad to the pass of Anglon. There they attempted to hold off the onslaught, but to no avail. The elves were outnumbered and outmatched, and Celegorm and Curufin were forced to flee. Further to the north, in the region of Lothlan, the armies of Morgoth broke through the Noldor's defenses, due in large part to the presence of Glaurung. Maeglor was forced to abandon his strongholds and retreat to Himring. Angband's advance continued into Thargelion, where Caranthir stood alone against them. He and his folk could do little to stop the assault, and their casualties were high, as Caranthir, upon his retreat, could muster few of his people to him, most having been consumed by the fires of Glaurung. Of all the sons of Feanor, only Maithros, upon his fortress of Himring, withstood the initial attack, in no small part due to the ferocity that Maithros bore upon his spirit. His actions rallied many to him, Maeglor and his folk after their defeat, and elves from Dorthonion. Maithros gathered his strength and launched an attack upon the pass of Anglon, and retook it from the orcs, and thus secured that region for a time. But the eastern theater was a near total disaster for the Free Peoples. Yet in the southern theater, things became far worse. The main blunt of the battle fell upon Dorthonion, ruled by Angrod and Aignor, and they gathered their people to them, and summoned the men of the House of Beor, led by their lord Bragollach. But their combined strength could do little against the armies of Angband, and they were routed, with Angrod, Aignor, and Bragollach all falling in battle. Barahir, Bragollach's brother, held his position near the pass of Sirion, the last force left in Dorthonion. Finrod Felagund received word about the attack on Dorthonion and brought his own forces and rushed to his brother's aid. But he was too late, and he became trapped in the fen of Serek. Surrounded and outnumbered, Finrod would have perished if Barahir had not arrived and broke through the orcs. On that field of battle was one of the few victories the Free Peoples would achieve throughout the Bragollach. In the western theater, the fires of Angband stretched up the arid Wetherin, destroying the landscape. Fingolfin and his son, Fingon, led the army of Hithlum against their foes and were pushed back with a great slaughter to Aethel Sirion. There upon the ford of Barad Aethel, the Noldor and their allies, the men of Dor-lómin, fought. Hador, lord of Dor-lómin, fell, but the fortress could not be breached by either orc nor their Balrog commanders. Thus the orcs fell back and assailed Hithlum no more. The Bragollach ended in the early spring of 456, leaving much chaos on the land. Fingolfin would fall into madness and challenge Morgoth to a duel, which would take his life. The sons of Feanor were scattered. Maithros and Maeglor remained stationed at Himring. Caranthir would join his brothers, Amrod and Amros, in the south at Amon Ereb. Celegorm and Curufin would arrive in Nogothrond and cause mischief and deceit among the elves there. Many of the Sindar elves who lived in the north would flee towards Doriath to escape the terrors of war that fell upon them. Ultimately, the Dagor Bragollach would be a great victory for Morgoth, and a near crippling defeat for the Free Peoples, that if not for the valor of the brave, would have spelled certain doom for Beleriand. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, feel free to like and subscribe for more content. Please let me know how I can better improve these videos. Thanks. As the elves say, Namarie.